I want to take a second to reflect on the state of the money primary here, but I'm talking about a very specific angle of the money primary, namely self-funding. So put aside, the entire conversation about individual contributions or PACs or whatever. This is about self-funding. So look at the numbers as they stand right now. Tom Steyer raised or spent about $202.5 million of his own money trying to get elected. Michael Bloomberg, who got in the race about 7.5 minutes ago, has spent over $200,000. $200,000. Ha ha! That's so hilarious. That's like nothing to him. I mean, he could literally just throw that out the window and not think twice about it. $200 million of his own money. And then it's a giant fall off a cliff after that. Although John Delaney, $25 million. $25 million, and I think he actually had 0% going into Iowa, which is hilarious. By the way, he just dropped out. Michael Bennett is still running, but John Delaney dropped out. We'll talk about the John Delaney thing a little bit later. And then you have Andrew Yang put $46,000 of his own into his race. John Hickenlooper, $32,000. Elizabeth Warren, $5,700. Michael Bennett, $2,800. Tulsi Gabbard put $75 towards her. Bernie Sanders put $0 towards himself. So, I mean, here's the main point and why we're talking about this. What Steyer's doing and Bloomberg's doing, and even Delaney and Yang and Hickenlooper, but more specifically, Steyer and Bloomberg, 100% should not be allowed. And it is a scandal that this isn't talked about more. Because this is like deep, deep oligarchy stuff. That's what this is. So Michael Bloomberg, Bloomberg has honestly just happened to spend his money in a more efficient way than Steyer did. And I bet Steyer is thinking right now, like, man, I wish I had done what Bloomberg did, because Bloomberg's approach is kind of working. Bloomberg decided, I'm basically going to spend all of my money carpet bombing the airwaves everywhere, with ads. And so, like here in New York, for example, usually, we don't get much attention paid to us in any election season because we're like a solidly blue state. And for whatever reason, even for the primary season, there's not much, there's not much energy towards us. So, but I have seen hundreds of Michael Bloomberg ads just watching TV. Hundreds. I'll be watching a Knicks game and you'll get 2 Bloomberg ads in one commercial break. One at the beginning and one at the end. And I haven't seen any other ads at all, ever. And now repeat what he's doing in New York in every state in the country. Now, I'm sure he's focusing on certain ones more than other ones, but he has bought himself 6 to 8% in the national polls, which is out of this world. Because when you look at Bernie and Biden, they have between 25% and 30% respectively. So, I mean, the fact that he's bought like a third of the support they got, and think of how hard Bernie had to work in campaign and focus on the grassroots, how hard he had to work and what he had to do to get to that point. It's mind-boggling that dude can just hop in, carpet bomb the airways with $200 million, which is not much to him, and buy himself legitimacy in the race. Not only that, we just spoke earlier about how he donated over $1 million to the DNC in a variety of ways. $300,000 to the National DNC, $800,000 to the Democratic Grassroots Victory Fund, which is the DNC plus the state parties. Bloomberg donated there, and then they changed the debate rules. So they say, oh, do we have an individual donor threshold with over 200,000 individual donors that you need to get on stage? Whoops, what happened to that? We got rid of it. So they're just changing the rules for him to get him on the debate stage to try to take down Bernie. So this is a scandal. This is a scandal what's happening here. Now, Steyer has been largely inefficient with how he spent his money, so he's not really getting a return on investment. But Bloomberg, his approach has worked. To go from nothing to 8% just by shitting out hundreds of millions of dollars and buying ads, that should not be allowed, man. Not at all. So, first of all, we need to get money out of politics, and the way to do that where it actually sticks is with a constitutional amendment. But short of that, guys, every single election should be run with small dollar donations. No corporate PAC money, no billionaire money, shit, no union PAC money, no PAC money. Everything should be small dollar donations. Everything. Because that's the real... Imagine we had an election system where, in order to run, that's the only way you could raise money is small dollar donations. Guys, corporatists would have no chance. Because Bloomberg would have to try to go out there and actually get grassroots, get the people to believe in him, to then donate to him. And he'd be stuck at 0%, along with Delaney. So it's really sad to think about that if we had a system that made sense, and if we had a system that prioritized the grassroots and prioritized democracy, that Bloomberg would be nowheresville. But now, because of the corrupt system that we have, we could just make it rain money across the entire country. Now he's in the conversation as one of the fringe viable candidates when he's skipping the first 4 contests, which I think is disrespectful to the people in those states. So, it's gross, man. It's gross. It's gross what he's doing. And then the final point is, stop for a second and think. Imagine the $200 million Steyer Steyer put in his race and the $200 million Michael Bloomberg put in his race. And these numbers are going up, by the way. They're going up, especially for Bloomberg, because he ain't going anywhere. That's $400 million total. Imagine what we could have done with $400 million. Imagine how many homeless people you could have taken off the streets and put a roof over their head. Imagine how many people you could have given health care to, or how many student loans you could have helped pay off. I mean, that could have went to so many amazing things. But we have this gross campaign finance system, and so, I tweeted this the other day, but if you're a working person, you might fuck around and buy a new pair of pants. If you're a millionaire, you might fuck around and buy a new car. If you're a billionaire, you might fuck around and buy politicians and a political party. An attempt to buy an election. And that's definitely what's happening here.